Okay. Hey everybody. So I'm Rod from Glimpse Group Consulting, and so one of the things, the way that we work is we're part of the Glimpse Group, which has multiple businesses that we're growing in AR and VR. And so one thing is we're always looking for good people, but we're also always looking for people. In my role as GM of the consulting group, I'm looking for people who can help me produce projects. And so I'm going to talk about one project that we've almost completed for Intel. And what's great about this project is that we had help, key help from Alex from Agile Lens, who's here. And so that was a nice success story there, is that we were able to bring in some folks from the community and execute this project. So let's see. Which one?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So what this project is about, it was Intel basically wants to show off the power of their new i9 chipset. And so it's at the highest level, they've got multiple levels of the i9. It's just starting to become available now. At the highest level, it's 18 cores, hyper-threaded. So you basically have 36 cores that you could, put to use, in your desktop. So it's a very powerful machine. I think we had one for a while. We had to ship it back to them. It was a very sad day when we did. Alex in particular was very sad because he was remoting in constantly. We sort of had to fight him for demo time on the machine. But basically there was part of what Intel wanted to show was not only how you could improve the playback, so you could add features into a complex VR environment, things like simulations, more complex animations, types of features that didn't lend themselves to a graphics board. They wanted to be able to show off with this, but more importantly, they wanted to show on the production side how you could save time. And so they in particular wanted to use Unreal. And so we used a few of the new features from Unreal, like the Datasmith, which they're now calling, I think, Unreal Studio. They just launched. And so that makes it easy to pull in your complex data sets from Max and optimize them for a VR environment. And we use that very successfully. But there's certain operations like the light mask calculations, which lend themselves to multi-threading. On an i7, it took about 6 hours. The same model that you'll see here in a second took an hour. Right, and so just really high performance, and that we put to good use in the production side. So the way that I approached the project was just think big. Let's get a big model, let's make it really complex, and then let's also bring in some key partners to help us execute on this. And so what we're able to do is work with some contacts we have at HOK, who are working with the Atlanta Hawks to do a stadium renovation there. And so we were able to get our hands on the model of the current Hawks Arena, Phillips Arena, and bring that in, optimize it for VR, make it look good, but then to make it really challenging, add in 2,500 animated characters for your fans. And so we've got a very unique experience that you're not going to see very often. A lot of times with large, complex environments, you've got a great-looking model, but there's no people in it. And so I think what's interesting here is you don't have to necessarily go and put in 2,500 people and make it interesting, but you could put in a few people and bring it to life a little bit. And so the other thing that's interesting about the project is that Intel is going to open source this. So we're still working on the exact release date. It's probably later this month, but they're going to make most of this, and we can't give away everything in it, but most of what you see is going to be available in a form that you as developers could take and repurpose. And so you could have a zombie game, shoot 'em up game in Phillips Arena. We did talk to the Hawks about the fact that might be something that ends up happening. They were fine with it, so that was good. So hopefully watch for this to there'll be some big announcements, hopefully around this, and watch for that to come out, and then make good use of it. This is a video that Alex put together. Let's see if I can get it to play here. How do I do this? Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So this video gives you a sense of the scale. So there's a lot going on here. I mean, it's real size. You know, it's the real actual model straight from Revit, pulled into Max, and then pulled into Unreal using Datasmith. We used a tool called Anima to add in the characters and add in the animations. Because this was more of a tool for developers or a marketing piece for developers, we didn't go crazy with it. We just used the base characters that are in the Anima package. So you'll see some repetition, in the characters, but this gives you. It's one thing to see this video. It's another thing. We'll show it afterwards. We'll turn on the. We'll run a demo over here, but we put in a simple UI. The feature that I like the best, which you really can't see here, is that you can have the crowd start cheering. And so they go into this cheering motion, and then you can turn it off, and everybody sits down. And it's awesome. And then the other thing I think coming up is we'll go up to the food court concourse area, and you'll see what that looks like, get a sense of that scale. And you'll also notice that we've got some Kabak 3D food from one of our subsidiaries up in the food court, which was a nice little addition that we're able to make. The thing that was interesting when we were talking to the Hawks, I said, well, we're going to have one viewpoint from, courtside, and because nobody who gets to sit in courtside. And they said, well, yeah, if we use this for marketing our luxury boxes, we're really not that interested in that because the people we're marketing to already sit courtside. So we're trying to upgrade them from courtside. So, so you got the bar, some fairly complex model. I think how many polygons, Alex? It was.
It started as 35 million, and in here it's about 3 million.
Yeah. So the other tool that we made heavy use of, which I would recommend, is a tool called Instalod, Insta-LOD. It's a little pricey on the license side, but it's really turned out to, I think in this case, to be worth it. It really helped us bring this down into let us get interactive performance from a very complex model. I mean, we streamlined it a lot, but then that took us to the point where we were able to really, make it, fairly interactive. So this, just credit-wise, this is, Alex, and again, thank you, Alex. You did a great job helping us pull it together. We used a product called Anima for the characters, like I mentioned, and then Insta-LOD. And so you guys can check those out.
Coming down from. All right.
Thank you. So we do here, just hit next.
The arrow. Use this.
Hit once.